Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today's topic. There were 5 which I wanted to cover, but I think it will be only one for today. I will talk about extensions. Anyone who can think what is an extension? Considering any. This is a standard, but do you think this standard will help you do all the implementation? How many of you does think like that? Delta information. What FHIR says is FHIR works on 280 rule 20% of the attributes, which will cover 80% of your implementations. But how about the rest of the 20%? That is where FHIR says that we are giving you a provision for extension. What is this extension? This extension means that if you have a data, for example, considering patient resource, there is no way you can map race. Can you see any attribute where you can map race or you? If you want, if you think you can map race in any of the existing attributes, just let me know. I'll just scroll from top to bottom. Anywhere anybody found? The answer is what FHIR says. FHIR says there is a concept of extension. You can use extension to map the delta information which a source system is sending and FHIR. FHIR as a standard is not providing your attribute within a resource. Now the question is where you can use extensions. Now, just like we did these segments feed it as a segment, we added at the segment level and at the field level on the same lines. Extensions can be added at the parent level. We'll talk about what is parent level, and extensions can be added at the data type level. I will give you examples for both. Now let's look into what it actually means and now where you can use extension. I don't see any attribute which is mentioned here. Extension can. Then does it mean that I can use extensions in any resource? Answer is no. Where you can use extensions? Answer is written here. If a resource is following domain resource, we never talked about this domain resource. If a resource, I'm not saying you have to remember all of this, which all resources can have extensions. You have to look into the specification. Patient resource follows domain resource. If you click on domain resource and you just scroll down, you will find that there are actually 8 attributes which are mentioned here, and it says elements defined in ancestor. Where are these ancestors? One ancestor is domain resource. From domain resource, you are getting 4 elements. There are another 4 attributes which are coming from resource, which is another reference data type. Then we will learn about this tomorrow. Let's look into what is there. Now, whenever you will find a resource which is having a domain resource, you will get a provision to write an attribute extension or any of this sort text contained extension or modified extension at the parent level. We'll talk about the data type level, but let's look into the parent level. Now let's see what it actually means. We learn the structure. Patient. This is how we used to write the resource. You can write all of these attributes. Now considering we want to write race. Sorry, we want to write race. Now I will only talk about extension. You can write all other attributes of your choice. Now extension. We can write at the parent level because or what we can do is we wrote some data. We can use this data set that it is not looking empty. If we opt for the same data what we built 2 to 3 days back just to move this. Now coming back to the same example. Where is it closing? That's an unwanted bracket. Now let's talk about how do we write. We wrote some of the attributes like this. Now, if you have to write extension at the parent level and I told that resource is following or is referenced as a data type as domain resource, you get a privilege to use these 4 attributes. We'll talk about contained when we will learn referencing text. Anything in textual format you can write. Now I'm more interested in extensions. What is this extension? Another attribute, just like how you wrote another. All other attributes, but there is a con in writing this one. This extension. Now it is repeating it is 0 is to star. What is the rule? What should I do? I will add a square bracket. Now I need to look into whether this is complex or not. I will click on the extension data type. I direct to attribute. It says URL is mandatory. It is com. I will add a flower bracket. Now first attribute is URL. Now this URL, it is URI and I told you URI is nothing but a string which is starting with HTTP and it has to be unique string which is identifying it as an array. It has to be http://abc.org/racecodes. I will just say racecodes. Now next one says value x. Now what I told you that x is a data type which needs to be replaced. Now where you can find that x, that is all theory. This is all theory. You can read here. Whatever I am telling. Whatever is that x, the x value is here. The data type, it has given you all sort of values. Now considering we are going to work with value. String which is in a data type available. And I am saying Asian is the race of the patient. Now, this is how you create an extension at the parent level. Whether this will be accepted by the end application or not. We will talk about it later when we will learn structure definition. But this is how you create extension at the parent level. I will give you one more example. There is a gender, right? There is a gender we created. Gender, gender. Or if not created, I will create now. Let's consider the end application is saying, I need rather than extension at the parent level. Can you create extension at the data type level? And tell me that gender is transgender. If you look into the code, I will go back close. I will go back. If you look into this administrative gender, transgender is nowhere in picture. It only talks about male, female, other or unknown. Now, how do you handle this scenario? Just you can definitely say you can write it at the parent level. But you should be aware how you write extensions at the data type level. Here, you can write it as other. What now writing? Just a comment, extension at data type level for primitive data type. There is a difference. Primitive data type. How do you tell that this extension? For example, even if you write extension, something like this, how do I tell? Then the application that extension belongs to gender and that this gender is primitive data type. What FHIR has created a concept is, FHIR has created a concept that you can use underscore keyword and you will get a privilege to use the entire attribute, the entire exact name. Whatever is the cardinality. It is 0 is to star. If it is repeating, you can add a square bracket, open close. If it is non-repeating, you will get a privilege to use flower brackets. And if you reuse this extension here, this will tell the end application that this extension is extension of the data type and that and the attribute is gender. Makes sense? And this is for primitive type. Let's look into. If the data type is already complex, how do you write extensions? Considering address. This was a real-time use case, which was put up front. And what the use case is? Int application once. House number 2 present as a separate attribute. Address. When I say separate attribute, if you look into the address data type, which is line, talks about street number and all, it will hold your house number also. But in case this was put in front, that data type is already complex. Now you can write extension here also. But if you have to write extension for line, how do you do it? Again on the same lines, you can definitely write one extension here. Because if you look into the data type add, it is following element data type. You have a privilege to write extension data type here. But if you have to extend a data type over here, under here, it is repeating. How do you do it? Over here, underscore line is something which you will use the same concept what we learned. This line is repeating. It is to start. We have a privilege to write a square bracket and extensions are always complex. You have to put a flower bracket and then you can write your extension. Let me just replace something and I will just change the URL. Where did it go? It is here. I will just say extend. They are looking for, let's say, string or integer. I will just say is 60, whatever. This is, you can definitely write extension. You have attribute. You need underscore with a privilege. Create extension within there. Practitioner resource schedule. Practitioner schedule. Remain constant. extend, college, practitioner, mandatory, extension, with square rate, extension, complex, repeating, up, schedule, month, there, already, period, thing, period, the compa, bracket, the star, hyphen, there, there, of, thing, read, schedule, Tuesday, with a practitioner, resource, right, shed, constant, the exact, extensions, present, e- extension, extension, something, something. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.